Valve is a company that has shown time and time and time again that they care most about pushing gaming technology forwards. So when it's announced that Valve is making a new Half-Life game in VR, I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of a big deal. The date is March 23rd. The game is out. And it's a masterpiece, baby. What more could you want from life? You can draw on the windows with an expo marker. Best game ever. 10 out of 10. No question about it. Hold on. Wait a second. You're telling me you can't draw on the snark jar? 0 out of 10 game. Never play it. Worst game. Alright, but snark jars aside, let's head in here. Let's see how it's going. And now the story really gets going when your father's captured by an alien force called the Combine, and you meet this dude named Russell. And Russell, he's a pretty cool dude. He's gonna give you your gravity gloves, he's gonna give you your gun, and you're gonna be on your way, just like that. And then when you're off that train, you're told that you're gonna be on your way to the quarantine zone. And there's definitely a joke that could be made there, but do I want to be the one to make it? I don't know, man. And whoa, hey, through the power of video editing, we're already at the quarantine zone, and it gives a very interesting first impression, looking like the inside of a McDonald's ice cream machine. What does the inside of a McDonald's ice cream machine look like anyway? Oh, ooh, yeah, wow, that's it's more accurate than I thought it would be. Now I don't want to get into the story too much in this video because I don't want to be that guy. But you do eventually save your father, and then he tells you that you have to take down this Combine super weapon that you just see hanging in the air throughout the entire game. And I really like the mystery behind it because you never really get a good idea on what this thing actually is until really late into the game. Moving on to the rest of the game, once you enter the quarantine zone, that spooky Half-Life atmosphere really starts to come back. Pretty soon, you'll find yourself in a subway station full of zombies, but you really can't help but feel bad for these guys. The headcrabs have taken full control of their body, but they're so aware of everything that's going on around them, and they're yelling out in pain the entire time you fight them. And while we're talking about the environments in this game, I just want to say this game is beautiful. Oh my god! I genuinely don't think there's been a single VR game that has graphics at this level, and it adds so much to the immersion. The world building too. Valve has always been able to create worlds that feel like real places, but they've never made something that feels this alive and this rich in detail. They made sure to make full use of their worlds by hiding stuff like ammo, healing items, grenades, and resin across the entire map, so you know that exploration isn't going to be for nothing. It really makes me excited to see what kind of worlds VR is going to be able to bring us into in the future. Now obviously the Combine does eventually figure out that you're trespassing in the quarantine zone, and they're gonna have to stop you. And although the fights may be a little bit different, they still feel really nice compared to Half-Life 2. You see, in Half-Life 1 and 2, Gordon Freeman was a complete tank. He would tear through armies of soldiers like it's just another Thursday night, and he also had a much larger arsenal of weapons than Alyx does. In Half-Life Alyx, you're going to be facing maybe 5 or 6 Combine soldiers at a time, but that doesn't necessarily mean the game is easier than the past Half-Life games, because you have a lot less health, and resources are going to be a lot more scarce, with you having to ration stuff like your grenades, your ammo, and healing items. And while we're on the topic of combat, I want to go over this game's arsenal of weapons. The first weapon you're going to get is the pistol, and it sure is a pistol. At the beginning, there's literally nothing special about this gun. It's just a pistol, you shoot with it, semi-auto, nothing else to it. But if you do upgrade your pistol, you're gonna get quite a bit more out of it. You're gonna be able to get things like a laser sight, like a scope, and an extended mag. It's pretty neat. And next up is the shotgun. Okay, are you ready for this? Alright, who needs sex when you have Valve sound design right here? This thing feels so powerful, takes out enemies so quick, but the only thing that I found odd was that it's a one-handed shotgun. It felt a little weird at first, but after realizing that you can use your free hand to, say, use a grenade, pick up ammo from across the room, stuff like that, it felt really good. And of course you can upgrade the shotgun as well, and you can get things like an auto loader that'll automatically put your shells into the shotgun, a laser sight, and my favorite of all, the grenade launcher. And our third and final weapon is gonna be the SMG, and honestly, this is my least favorite weapon. I don't know, man, there's just something about it that doesn't feel great. I think it just comes down to the amount of power that thing has. Whether it's the sound design or the damage output, I'm not sure, but it feels a little bit weaker than it should be, and if it just had a teensy bit more power, it would be right up there with the shotgun as one of my favorites. Alright, and with that out of the way, I'm going to talk about some of the other enemies in this game. You still got your classics like zombies, barnacles, and head crabs, but they did add a new variant of head crab, the armored head crab. Now these guys are going to be a bit trickier than your average head crab, because the only place where you can kill them is on their belly? Mouth? I'm not sure what the area is. It's that glowing spot right there. Another new enemy is the lightning dog, which these guys are pretty interesting. So your first lightning dog encounter is gonna have you chasing down the dog, shoot it, kill it, take its little energy ball, and you're out of there. Pretty standard stuff, but it was still a fun fight. And in the next encounter, the dog's gonna hop into a zombie, and it's gonna possess the body, which I thought was really neat at first, but the fight did last a little bit longer than I would have liked, and overall, it felt really slow. But hey, it's just one fight I didn't like within a lot that I did, so I'll let it slide. And believe it or not, there's a third encounter. Okay, let's see what we got with this one. And yeah, you sure do fight two of the dog things at once. This is not fun at all, I'm gonna be honest. But that one enemy aside, I still think Half-Life Alyx has the strongest combat in this series, just with the amount of interactability VR brings for it. For example, you'll be leaning around corners, or physically throwing grenades, scrambling to manually reload your gun. It all adds so much to the gameplay. Now there is one more enemy I want to talk about, because this guy, he is just something else. But before we get into that, I want to just give a little bit of a spoiler warning, because this is a late game chapter, and I think it's something that you have to just experience for yourself. So if you're not ready and you haven't played the game, go ahead and click on that timestamp right there, and I'll meet you on the other side. So, Jeff. Where do I begin with Jeff? Jeff might just be the perfect example of two of Half-Life's main themes, horror and puzzle solving. The chapter opens in an abandoned distillery with vodka bottles scattered all over the place, and these bottles are going to become your best friend. You soon meet Larry, who introduces you to your new best friend, Jeff. Realizing that I'm spending the next hour with that thing down there had to have been the biggest oh crap moment I've ever experienced in any game. But you see, the whole gimmick behind Jeff is that, as you just saw, the only thing he reacts to is sound. So, those vodka bottles that were just lying around are going to become a lot more valuable when you need to use them to keep Jeff away from you. And when I finally got down to face Jeff for the first time, I sat there. I waited. I didn't want to do anything at all. I was just too scared to move. I had to sit, realize what I was getting myself into. When I was ready, I finally left. And oh my god, was I terrified. Just look at how much my hands were shaking through this entire thing. And eventually I got to the first puzzle with this valve. But there was one issue. I just could not figure things out for a little bit. I tried throwing bottles and quickly turning the valve, but he would always come back just because of how loud the thing was. Until eventually, I realized that the freezer to my right had a lock on it. Now I think you know where things are going now. That's right, we locked Jeff up, and we're done with him. Gotcha! Of course we're not done with Jeff. Yeah, so, after doing a little bit of puzzle solving, the power goes out, and the only way to fix things is in that freezer. So, we gotta release him again. And coming to the realization that I have to release him again, it felt so awful, but in the best way possible. I don't know, man, just being forced to do something that you just really do not want to do is so spooky. But anyway, after you get that power back on and you make your way up the elevator with Jeff, you move on to your second main puzzle of this part. And this one's going to have you searching down 3 batteries that'll power the vault that'll let you out of Jeff's distillery. And I really like the concept of how you get to go into Jeff's spooky compressed battery zone, terrify yourself, and then once you get that battery, come back out, get to decompress, get to chill, look at the beautiful view, and then hop back in once you're ready. And once I got all 3 batteries and I was out of there, I'm gonna be honest, it was kinda hard to say goodbye to Jeff, because that was just my favorite chapter by so much, and it was easily my favorite part of any Half-Life game. So, for those of you who may have skipped it here because of spoilers, basically all I was saying in that section is that the puzzle solving and the horror in that game is just, it's so good. But with that out of the way, I do want to ask the question, did Half-Life Alyx live up to the expectations set by 13 years of silence? Yeah, that's a tricky one to answer. I want to say that it does, but at the same time, some people don't have VR, and a majority of the game's fanbase isn't going to get to experience the game for a while. Now don't get me wrong, what the game does for VR is amazing, it's revolutionary, but imagine waiting 13 years for a product that you're not even going to get to experience. That has to be crushing for the people that don't have VR. But the fact of the matter is, if you attempt to play this game without VR, it's not going to be nearly as enjoyable just because of the way that it's built. I feel like Valve's got themselves in a corner now, because if the next Half-Life game is in VR, a lot of players aren't going to be able to experience it. But at the same time, if it's not in VR, it's almost going to feel like a downgrade from Half-Life Alyx. And on that note, I'm going to end things off for today. This was my first video, so please let me know how things were in the comments. I'd love feedback right now. And if you liked the video, remember to drop a like. And if you subscribe, no scam by the way, I'll send you a free Frisbee in the mail. Links to my Twitch and Twitter are going to be in the description. I'd love it if you follow. And I'll see you guys in the next one.